You basically, it's kind of like going from graduate school back to like preschool, right? And you're like, wait a minute, why did I do this? Like I had this corporate career where I was respected and I knew what to do and I had these great teams. Okay, I chose to go this route for a variety of reasons. Okay, but now I'm dumb. Like I'm a kid again. I'm learning how to tie my shoes.
Welcome to Coach as Entrepreneur, the show for coaches building real businesses with systems, strategy, and heart. Build the systems, serve your clients, and support your family. Today's guest is Jim Fielding, a brand builder, experienced architect, and executive coach whose career has spanned Disney, Dreamworks, and the LA Clippers. With over 30 years of leadership at the intersection of culture and commerce, Jim now helps leaders embrace authenticity, lead with heart, and navigate change with purpose. Jim, thanks for joining me today.
Oh my gosh, David, it's so nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
I gotta say, this is really exciting for me. I have been a fan of DreamWorks and Disney for a really long time, and
Hmm.
so I imagine some of the things you've worked on have influenced not only my life, but also the lives of
I hope
hundreds of
so.
thousands, if not
Yeah.
millions. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that period of my life, the storytelling, the Hollywood period, whatever you want to call it, it was a lot of hard work, but I also realized it was a gift. And, working on brands like Disney and DreamWorks, but then working on the properties, the character families underneath there, it's
Hmm.
truly unique. I mean, when I think about princesses and Mickey Mouse and the trolls at DreamWorks, I mean, it's just at the time, you're just in the moment and doing it. But I think one of the things that's been nice about this point in my career is I can look back and reflect on it. And I also realize in my coaching practice, I use learnings from those years all of the time. I mean, it's a huge part of my foundation and my story,
That's
for sure.
well, since you kind of opened that door, let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how has your history and your previous career influenced what you're doing now as a coach?
Yeah, I think the first part is at Disney, when I became president of Disney Store, I was assigned an executive coach. And I'll be honest with you, David, at the time I thought, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? Like I thought it was something had happened, right? And then my boss at the time, who was probably the best boss I ever had, he's a mentor, his name's Andy Mooney,
Mhm.
said, no, 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 this is an investment we're making in you to make you even more effective as president of Disney Store. It's a positive. And the 4 years that I was president of Disney Store, I had the same executive coach the entire time. And so I think that I really understood and appreciated coaching kind of from the client side.
Mhm.
And as I was getting older and as I was thinking about life, kind of in the pandemic and post pandemic and post Disney bought 20th Century Fox right before the pandemic. And so
Mhm.
I was out of a job.
Mhm.
And so I had this time to reflect um, and I thought, you know what, I've been mentoring and advising and developing teams my entire career.
Mhm.
And I love that. I love that part of my career.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do this professionally. And
Mhm.
that's really when I went back to school. That's when I went back to Emory University
Okay.
to get my coaching credentials because I thought it's just something about me. I mean, you and I were talking before. I'm a lifelong learner and I'm constantly curious. Of course, I could have just become a coach. I could have just said I'm a coach.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back and get the academic foundation. And Emory here in Atlanta has an incredible 6 month. I did 2 3 month cohorts basically, beginning coaching and then advanced coaching.
Yeah.
And that helped me kind of launch my coaching
Mhm.
life.
Okay, so you went through Emory. So I haven't really spoken to a lot of coaches who have gone through an actual like university.
Mm,
How was that experience
yeah.
for you?
Yeah, I mean, again, for me, being a lifelong learner, I love the fact that I was in this cohort with 31 other people. It was 32 of us, me and 31 others, and lots of different kinds of coaches, lifestyle coaches, mindfulness coaches, health and wellness coaches, and then people who wanted to be more leadership coaches, executive coaches. And to have regular classes and to have practice and to have homework. And I really wanted to be a International Coaching Federation, ICF. I
Mhm.
really wanted to be an ICF certified coach. It was just something that was important to me.
Yeah.
And the Emory program, that's how I found the Emory
I
program.
see.
Was I went on the International Coaching Federation website and said, what trainings are ICF certified?
Right.
And then found Emory, which happens to be 15 minutes from my house here in
Perfect.
Atlanta. And I was like, oh, okay, we'll do it that way.
Yeah, that's perfect, right? And I know a lot of
Yeah,
coaches want to get the ICF certification because ICF is probably what the biggest coaching federation.
I think so.
Yeah, and it
I think it's definitely in the top two if it's not number one.
yeah, and in a space where you could be a coach or you can call yourself a coach, like, right now
Yeah.
without any credentials, it's really helpful having a system of, if you got your degree with a credential through like Emory plus your ICF credentials,
hmm
it really helps to like verify
hmm
and validate you actually know what you're doing and you're not just somebody who's just calling themselves.
It's branding.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's branding, right? I feel like it's like some kind of a seal of approval to your point.
yeah,
And honestly, what I learned in those classes, I use in every one of my coaching engagements.
hmm
And it also helped me with learning systems, preparing for coaching
hmm
and um, how to conduct a coaching session and how to handle the debrief afterwards. Like it actually teaches you
yeah,
practical systems, not only theory. We learned a lot of theory,
yeah,
family coaching, brain-based coaching. There was a lot of theory in it,
hmm
with incredible professors and teachers. But then there was also very practical, like this is how you implement it in your practice, which I needed because I'd never, I mean, that was part of when you and I first talked. I'd never been an entrepreneur. I'd always been corporate. And so, being out on my own and saying I'm a coach and building a coaching business was new to me.
yeah. And I think that's probably one of the good things about ICF is they force you to do the practical stuff, or else you kind of
Yes.
or else you've got the knowledge, but then you're the first couple of clients you have, you're kind of bumbling your way through it a little bit.
You totally. And I want to be good for them, right? I mean, even if they're not paying me, I mean, some of the work you do
Hmm.
is pro bono, right? And
Yeah.
it's practice. And even if you tell people you're a practice client, you still want it to be value added for them. I mean, you're taking people's time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I listen, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and a control freak. So,
Hmm.
I wanted to quote, do it right.
Yeah.
And you want good word of mouth. You want people recommending you and saying, I'm working with this coach and he's really good. You should,
Hmm.
look him up. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, what did you feel were some of the challenges for you as you're transitioning from your professional to coaching career? What were some of those challenges that you were facing?
Well, I mean, gosh, there were so many. I mean, I think the biggest, probably the fact that, coming from corporate, especially the roles that I had, by the last 10, 15 years of my career, I had pretty big teams and I had
Mhm.
specialists, and I had like an executive assistant and a chief of staff. Like I had people helping me with my schedule and helping me with my expenses and helping me with
Mhm.
building presentation decks and helping me prepare speeches and all of a sudden it's you, right? And
Yeah.
I remember I spent a week just on my paperwork, like building my coaching agreement and building
Mhm.
my invoice. Like I had to build an invoice, right? I had to sign up with QuickBooks, right? Because
Yeah.
I was doing my own accounting. I was, and I had to learn QuickBooks and I had to design an invoice and how
Hmm.
do I even send out an invoice? And so there was a lot of just fundamentals
Yeah.
of that. Honestly, in the past, I would have gone to somebody on my team and said, can you build me an invoice? Can you
Yeah.
build me that? Like, and by the way, you're the team, right? And
Yeah.
so you kind of say to yourself, okay. And that's what I said. Like, I took a week, like one of the work weeks, and I was like, we're going to get our paperwork in order. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I basically, on my to-do list, I was like, get coaching paperwork in order.
Yeah, we were talking about systems for you and how, you going from corporate, having a team behind you, and then just having to figure out how to do everything on your own with, just running invoices. It's a lot to go from like where you're just like all you have to do is think about what you want and you can just delegate it.
Delegate, yeah.
Now you have to do it on your own.
Hmm. And my management style and
Hmm.
leadership style is very much two heads are better than one. And
Yeah.
so I always believed in collaboration and communication and teamwork. But when you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, it's you, right? And so it was a lot of trial and error, right? I had to
Hmm.
find my tools that I literally trained myself on. And by train myself on, it meant forcing myself to do them every day, watching, quite honestly, YouTube videos like how to do Intuit QuickBooks and how to use Canva and how to use Notion and
Hmm.
finding platforms, finding tools like
Yeah.
my calendar tool, for example. I tried two or three different calendar tools. I love my calendar tool. And once I learned how to set up all my different meeting types, like it's life
Yeah.
changing. And I'm sorry, I didn't need an executive assistant to manage my calendar then, right? Because I have
Yeah.
this tool now. But it's that trial and error and finding what you're comfortable with. Because by the way, and as you know this, David, because you are an entrepreneur, everybody has an opinion, right? Everybody's like, no, no, my tool is the best tool, or this tool is the best tool. And like everybody was trying to tell me, oh no, Jim, you need to be using X or you need to be using Y. And I found that the only way I could do it was, and for all of your viewers and listeners, everybody does like a 14-day free trial, right? Like every tool. And
Yeah.
I signed up for a lot of 14-day free trials, and then I'd make myself a note to make sure I canceled so I didn't get charged.
Yeah.
But I'm a very tactile learner, and so I have to actually be doing it. Like
Yeah.
I can watch a YouTube video or, like some kind of a tutorial, but I need to actually practice and so now, you know, I guess what am I, over a year now doing this. Now I know my tools, right?
Yeah.
And I'm very loyal to my tools. Like I'm very dependent on them probably because I've learned them now. And I'm proud of myself because Canva is a great example. I do a lot of my own graphics for my
Hmm.
presentations and my coaching now and for my LinkedIn. I'm proud of that.
Hmm.
I'm really proud of that.
It's funny that you talk about like using all the different technologies and getting used to it. Because so the reason it's funny is the technology doesn't matter. It's whatever works and works for you.
Totally. What you're
If you
comfortable with. Exactly.
Yeah, and I have a tendency to over engineer systems and processes. And
Mm.
so I really have to work on MVP versions of systems processes. And
Hmm.
so but it's really like, you can make and use like the most intricate tool with all of the features, all the bells and whistles, but if it's too complicated to use, you're not going to use it. And so then what's the purpose? So,
Absolutely. No, you're 100% right. And I found that with some tools where I'm like, this is just too much. Like
mhm,
I'm stressed out using the tool, right? Like I shouldn't be
yeah.
stressed. It's supposed to be making me more efficient and more effective. And but again, that's where I think the 14-day, or 1 week free trials are so important because that and using those free trials and saying, okay, wait a minute, I'm
Mhm,
going to try this one. And I had to kind of chunk it, David, right? Like I was like, okay, now let's focus on calendar tool. Like once
yeah,
I got in QuickBook, I knew that was going to be my accounting software, so that was pretty easy. But then,
yeah,
there's different versions of graphic design AI, right?
yeah,
I ended up really liking Canva. Even, I mean, just AI tools in general, right? I mean, AI
Hmm.
tools for research, AI tools to help me. I don't really have AI tools write any of my writing because I'm a writer, but research,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So I played with different research AI tools,
Hmm.
and I would ask people I respected. I would ask, I would DM people in LinkedIn, or I'd send people emails and say, hey, what do you use for research? What AI tool do you use for research? I do like my own little polls.
Hmm.
And then I would try them.
Yeah.
And my newsletter, when I launched a newsletter, like figuring out which newsletter platform I was going to use. There's so many, and there's so many, right? And everybody had a different opinion. And I was like, okay, but let's go on and play and see. And
Yeah.
it's funny what you were saying. I think the newsletter platform I chose, I found the most intuitive. Like I understood how to
Hmm.
navigate almost immediately. And it was at the time it was a newer tool. It was not one of the, like, if you Googled what newsletter platform to use, it wasn't even in the top three when I did it.
Hmm.
But I found this kind of startup newsletter tool, and through recommendations,
Right.
and I found it to be the most intuitive for my brain. To your point, the way my brain
Yeah.
worked, I was like, okay, I can do a newsletter on
Yeah.
here. I get it.
Yeah. And I think that's a highlights an important part, which is, well, two things, right? Which is talk to people, find out what they're
Yeah,
using, get recommendations, but also the second thing is find what works for you and your brain, right? It doesn't
totally.
finding the best one that's recommended by everybody doesn't necessarily work for you if you think or process differently.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And I think so much of the entrepreneurial journey, and I love this podcast you're doing, is being humble enough. It's a lot about humility
mhm,
and saying, I need help. I want to ask you
mm,
questions. How did
yeah,
you launch your newsletter? And
mhm,
it's not copying, but it's best practices. And in
yeah.
corporate, we were always
It's all
talking about best practices, right? You were always
you're
saying, "Oh, look at what Nike did, or look at what Warner Brothers did, or look at what NBC
yeah.
Universal did." You were always talking about best practices. I think as an entrepreneur, it's the same thing.
Mhm,
If you subscribe to somebody's newsletter and you love their newsletter and you love the format, ask them what
yeah,
platform it's on, right? Or
yeah,
sometimes it says right in the newsletter, at the bottom of the newsletter, it'll say what platform it was created on.
yeah.
If you love their graphics on LinkedIn,
Mhm,
ask them, do you do your own graphics? Do you hire someone to do your
mm,
graphics? Like, so much of this is that the humility and the confidence to be like, I need help. Like,
yeah,
my graphics aren't good. How can I make better graphics? Right.
yeah,
So yeah, and I've loved that process. So yeah, if I look at myself now versus the beginning of the journey,
mhm,
I'd give myself, if I was grading myself, I'm probably B minus. Like, I haven't been perfect by any means, but I'm so much better than I was at the beginning. So much better.
well, and that's also kind of the fallacy of, like, when you start a business, you need to be perfect. You
Yeah.
you don't need to, you just need to get started and just understand you will just move and improve as you go. If you
Trial and
don't
error.
improve, yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't improve, that's the problem, but if you're trial and erroring and, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
figuring out, then you'll be fine. Um,
And are you enjoying the process, right? So not
right.
only are you learning, I mean, that's a big thing we talk about in coaching, is the growth mindset. It's this
Mhm.
feeling that you're moving forward, right? I mean, one of
Yeah.
the things I always say in my head is I try not to make the same mistake twice, right? So if I
Mhm.
make a mistake, I try I try. It does not mean I don't. I, of course, made the same mistake twice in my life, but I try to learn and say, okay, what did we learn from that situation? And let's not
Mhm.
do that again. I don't get mad at myself for making the mistake. I see the
Yeah.
mistake as part of a natural process, but I
Yeah.
try to say to myself, okay, let's not do that again.
Yeah.
And I believe me, I have signed up for tools and courses and paid money for stuff that I
Hmm.
regret 100%, where I'm like, well,
Uh-huh.
that was money out the window. But then there's other ones that have far exceeded my expectations. So
Right.
again, that's part of the journey. It's part of the trial and
Yeah.
error.
Well, so one question that I have for you is, as I've been talking and interviewing other coaches, has been that a lot of the coaches I've talked to have either a coach mentor that they
Yeah.
continue working with, or a
Yeah.
group of like a small group of coaches that they work with or meet to
Yes.
talk through. So do you also have?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the best part about going through the cohort at Emory is I have a
Mhm.
group of people now who I'm in consistent communication with,
Mhm.
virtually and in real life, who
Yeah.
are along on the journey. And I always say to people, and I've done, other training classes and stuff, and I always say I'm a coach, but I'm coachable as well,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
it's the same way, the way I say it, David. I was saying this to somebody the other day. I was at a cocktail party. It's like cocktail party chatter, but like you go to a dentist, you go to a doctor, you have a lawyer,
Mhm.
you have a person fix your car because they're an expert in that, right? And so for me, like I've worked with people on my LinkedIn, for example. I did a LinkedIn class, right? Like a 12-week
Yeah.
LinkedIn class, because there's people out there who are really, really good at LinkedIn, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was a hard class, and I worked hard in it, and I learned a lot. And
Mhm.
there was days I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But now I have a system for LinkedIn, right? I
Mhm.
didn't have that when I started. And the newsletter, I've spent a lot of time with other people who are really good at newsletters to say,
Mhm.
how often should I be doing the newsletter? What's the right length of a newsletter? What's how much content, right? Again,
Yeah.
there's people who that's all they do. There's people who are like literally newsletter gurus. And that's the thing I personally love about LinkedIn is there are really good search tools on there. And if you're willing to use the direct messaging, if you're willing to use the connection and the follow and ask questions, you can really find some fascinating people and globally. I mean, listen, you and
Yeah.
you're in Korea, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
connected over LinkedIn. So I've met so many fascinating people around the world
Mhm.
who are focused on certain aspects of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
that I've learned from.
Yeah. And I think that's especially going on this journey of entrepreneurship and building a business,
Yeah.
you got to know what you don't know and then start talking to people so that you can start filling those gaps in. And so I think that is,
Well, you should be a coach, David, because to me that's I mean, my first two or three sessions or one or two sessions with a person when they
mhm,
want to be coached by me, those
mm,
first sessions are really about self-awareness and doing
mm,
a an inventory, like a personal inventory of what are you good at, what are you
yeah,
not good at, what do you like to do, what do you
yeah,
don't like to do, like what really gives you a spark, a passion, energy. And a lot of people just want to get right into coaching, right? They're like, oh, I want you, let's just get into the coaching. And I'm like, no, 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 let's step back and
yeah,
do some personal inventory, right?
yeah,
And I use a variety of different like personality tools and stuff
mhm,
to do some personal assessments to get the coaching client to look at
mhm,
themselves first. A lot of them
yeah,
just want to be like, I need my team to be more productive, right? I need my team to be more effective. It's like, okay, wait a minute. In order for your team to be more effective, you need to be more effective first. And I think to me that's entrepreneurship, the same thing. Like
yeah,
I had to get my systems in order and my processes in order so that I was effective. And I think LinkedIn is such a great example, David, because I got to tell you, at the beginning of that class, I was probably spending four
mm,
hours a day on LinkedIn and pulling
mhm,
my hair out. Now
yeah,
I'm spending 25 to 30 minutes a day, right? and
mhm,
and
yeah,
loving it. Like now I look
yeah,
forward to it. I'm like, I can't wait to get in there and see who's commenting and
mhm,
what they think of the content and what they're learning and what kind of content should I be doing. It's a completely different energy. It's such an energy shift.
yeah,
It was like a drudge before, and I was like, oh my god, you suck at this. I was so mad at myself, like, you're so bad at this, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like, okay, you're pretty good at this. Like, but
Yeah.
embrace the process.
Yeah. And we have to accept the fact that at the beginning we don't know like how things work or how this goes. And if you don't put in the effort to like find somebody who can teach you or learn through some process,
Hmm.
you don't know if it's how
Well,
good you can get at it.
and
Yeah.
again, we talk about this humility. Many people who are moving into this world have come from pretty high positions in corporate where they knew what they were doing, right? And you
Hmm.
basically, it's kind of like going from graduate school back to like preschool, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, wait a minute, why did I do this? Like I had this corporate career where I was respected and I knew what to do and I had these great teams. Okay, I chose to go this route for a
Yeah.
variety of reasons. Okay, but now I'm dumb. Like I'm a kid again. I'm learning how to tie my shoes. I'm learning how to do the ABCs, right?
Yeah.
And but I've loved that. I think it's
Yeah.
refreshing. I think it's super refreshing. Not everybody loves it.
But I think like you have to have that mindset when you're moving into like becoming a coach and starting
Hmm.
your coaching business, because if you're not willing to learn and put the effort in to do these things and accept that, you need help, that you're going to need to ask for people for help,
Hmm.
then maybe you're not in the right spot that you should be, because you're going to need a lot of help while you're trying to get your business off the ground so that you can coach and help people. Because so the biggest problem that a lot of coaches I've talked to have is, how do I get more leads, more clients?
Mm,
A lot of them get them through referrals, which is fantastic, right? Like you're starting, you get it through referrals.
yeah.
But you need to also think about your coaching business as
Yeah.
a business. And if your
Bus-
referrals for whatever reason dry up, how are you getting new clients?
Business
And so,
development. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
business development.
It's and that's hard. I mean, that's one
Yeah.
of those buckets to your point, like, and there's a lot of tools out there again, but and there's a lot of people. I mean, the other thing that happens, you know this, David, on LinkedIn is you start to get random emails and DMs from everybody who says, I can triple your business tomorrow, right? Or I can 10 times your business. I have the system, right? I have the and like literally I'm like, and in the beginning, gullible Jim, I was like, okay, I'll meet with you, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then I'd be like, 10 minutes into the meeting, and I'd be like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, this was such a waste of
Yeah.
time. And so now I'm so much more selective about,
Mhm.
again, doing the research.
Yeah.
But business development is one of those buckets you have to do. Like when you're a corporate person working for Disney, people were calling you, right? Like
Yeah.
I wasn't Disney,
Yeah.
DreamWorks, Fox. I worked for some of the world's leading brands in media, entertainment, retail. They were calling
Right.
us, right?
Right.
Business development was very relationship oriented, to your point, and it
Mhm.
was more about, hey, we have this new movie, we have this new TV show, who wants to play with us, right? Now, you do a lot of business development calls that never turn into an engagement, and it's another system or process that you have to use to track, wait a
Yeah.
minute, did I talk to that person? Wait, is this like a contact journal? Like again, there's tools for it,
Yeah.
but it's another bucket of being an entrepreneur that you have to build,
Yeah.
is business development.
Yeah. But it's I think it's probably like one of the things that's hard for a lot of coaches to
Very.
want to do, but also like how do they even get that bucket filled, just
Totally.
to because it's not even the process of doing it, but getting the bucket filled. And it's
A lot of
I think for a
coaches
lot of
just are like, they want to just coach, right? I just want
yeah,
to coach. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, but how are you getting those people, to your point? So, and yeah, there is some organic, natural when you first start, just your network, but it does dry up for sure.
yeah. So that is like that's the question for coaches, is because I feel like a lot of coaches, they do want to just coach. They come from a specific background where it's probably not often just like pure marketing or sales. So then how do you do this without feeling like, for me, when I think about marketing and sales, I've always had this picture of the car salesman, the used car
Yeah.
salesman. And so it feels
Yeah.
icky, right?
It does. It's gross. And to be honest, it's the if I have to look at all the different buckets, it's the bucket I like the least. It's not my natural. To your point,
Yeah.
I wasn't from the sales funnel. Like I grew up in the creative
Yeah.
funnel and the people funnel, and I always had incredible salespeople. Like I always had great
Mhm.
VPs of sales or head of sales who were natural salespeople. But I totally get the used car salesman, where I feel like
Yeah.
then,
You didn't become a coach to be a marketer. But if you want to build a sustainable business, you need a system that works for you while you're coaching. Coach Ops is designed to help you go from unpredictable referrals to a reliable marketing system without it feeling pushy or salesy. If you're ready to build something systematic, visit kyber5.com/coach ops.
and you start to feel a little spammy, right? Like you're
Yeah.
DMing people and you're basically saying, "Hey, can I talk to you about my coaching services or my
Mhm.
speaking services?" And you start to feel a little spammy. Um, and so again, through trial and error, you figure out like how do I get my message right
Yeah.
to and what tools can I use to find again a term I use, my ideal client, my ICP, my ideal
Yeah.
client profile. That's not a term that I
Yeah.
learned that term in the Emory thing. Like who is my
Mhm.
ICP? I didn't know what ICP
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And that is trial and error again. We've said that a couple times in this call, but it
Yeah.
it definitely is trial and error. But I can be honest, it's the part I like the least.
Yeah, I think the part of it is like, so especially for coaches, the whole mindset of like work when you're working with your client, but also for coaches, it's the mindset of like when you come up to thinking about marketing and sales,
Mm-hmm.
how are you thinking about it? I was speaking with another coach, one of the first guests, and he was saying, I don't think about it as sales anymore. I don't think of it as marketing. I think of it as an invitation.
That's nice.
And so I think with the way because you're so integrated with storytelling, right? So instead of saying, "Hey, let me talk to you about what I do," it's just, "Let me talk to you about a story of a client I was working with,
Mm-hmm.
of how he started from
Yeah,
here
let's
and
share
here."
stories. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. And for me, I have to actually put on my calendar networking time or business development time. Like I have to make
Yeah.
it a task. You're kind of doing it all day long, but I actually have to work my system and say,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to take an hour or an hour and a half and I'm just going to look at potential
Mm.
leads. If I don't do that, I will skip it because it's not my favorite.
It's not your favorite, right? And
Yeah.
you naturally just wanna do the things you're most excited about, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk a little bit because so you've been coaching for a year now, is that
A
correct?
year full time. I mean,
Mhm.
I was kind of part time for about 18 months before that, but a year
Okay.
full time. Yeah.
Approximately how many clients have you worked with then? So full time,
I'd say 20. I think I've had
20?
20. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I consciously limit my
Mhm.
like I don't coach every day.
Yeah.
I've learned that I my capacity is about 4 clients a day
Mhm.
until I start to feel that I'm not doing as good of job. Like I have
Yeah.
friends, again, people that I was in the cohort with and people I've met in coaching that can coach 8 or 10 people a day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, more power to you, right? Like I I can't do it. Like I did one day where I think I did 5 and like I needed a 2 hour nap afterwards. Like it's
Yeah.
because I really do care about my clients and I really want to be
Yeah.
present. I really want to be present and I really, really want to be focused. And so for me, that's a lot of energy. And so I would say at any time I'm coaching consistently between 10 and 12 people. And that's good for my number
Mhm.
because I'm also
Yeah.
writing new books and I'm doing speaking and I'm
Mhm.
doing training. So I'm, while I say I'm a full time coach, I do other things besides coach. So
Yeah.
I'm, yeah, I kind of probably hold space, for
Yeah.
10 to 15 people at a time.
But you that's a good, like, number because
Hmm.
depending on how long you're coaching, like,
Yeah.
is it 30 minutes, an hour and a half?
I
And
usually
then
do,
how
yeah, I usually do hour sessions, like 50 minutes of coaching and then like 10 minutes of before and after.
Yeah. So like that's a lot of energy. Like
And
I
preparation. You don't just
right.
turn on the Zoom camera and start coaching. There's pre-work
Yeah.
and there's post-work and
Yeah.
yeah, so I would say any engagement, if you're with the client an hour, you're probably spending another 60 to 90 minutes outside of that engagement getting ready
Hmm.
and post. So, if I do 10 of those a week,
Yeah.
that's 20, 25 hours of coaching. That's
Hmm.
plenty for me. Like
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, because you're also running your business and doing the other things along the
Mm-hmm.
side of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'd love to, can we talk a little bit about your experiences with coaching?
Yeah.
Um, Generally, from the coaches I've spoken with, there's at least one or two stories, generally more, of like
Mm,
from the start to the end of an engagement you work with a client of
mm,
life changed
mm,
through working with you. Do
mm.
you want to share? Do you have one of those in mind that you'd like
Oh,
to
for
share?
sure. I mean, I think one of my favorite engagements so far, and I like them all. So if any of my clients are listening, I love all of you. But I had one client who reached out to me who had recently been promoted to be the president of a media and experience company. So he had been
Mhm.
promoted, not necessarily promoted, but he'd been hired, he'd been brought in into this role. But
Mhm.
he wanted personal coaching. And as we got into his personal coaching and working on his skill set, he said, I think I actually want you to come and spend time with my team. And so it turned
Mhm.
into, I started to do quarterly team coaching, basically, like offsites.
Yeah.
And then he said, I also think I should offer coaching to people on my team who want individual coaching. And so
Mm.
what I love about that arc is it started out with me coaching him one on one, and I always
Yeah.
kept coaching him one on one. And I always maintained confidentiality in the walls. But by the end of that engagement, and there was an end to it, it lasted about 9 months. I was I had been to their offices 2 or 3 times to meet with them in
Mm.
person and do like an offsite, and then I was probably coaching 4 of his direct reports. He had 8 direct reports. 4 of them wanted individual coaching. It was very
Mhm.
optional,
Yeah.
but I think I was good for the team because even though I was respecting confidentiality and respecting the walls between them, I
Mm.
was able to really understand some team dynamics. And
Mm.
I think I was more effective for him as the
Yeah.
leader and more effective for the people on his team. And I
Yeah.
and I saw culture change. I saw
Yeah.
behaviors change on the team. I saw
Yeah.
him become more effective. I really did.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
I think team coaching is super effective, not just on your side as like working with large groups at one time, but also in terms of just like if you can work with the leader to make their shifts that they need to do to work more effectively with their groups, their teams. But if you're able to actually work within the group too, that's going to have a compounding impact on the coaching,
And
right?
it made
Because
me feel more like my corporate past, right? Where I would pull, so if it was him when we would meet, it was him, his executive assistant, and his 8 direct reports. There'd be 10 people in the room plus me.
yeah,
And each time we got together, I felt like I put together a better agenda, to your point, because
mhm,
I really was identifying what the team needed, whether it was, communication styles or how to collaborate, how to be better project managers.
mhm,
This particular team had a lot of idea people, but not a lot
yeah,
of project managers, right? They kind of fell
mm,
down a little bit on implementation. And so we talked about that. We talked about which people on the team were more implementers that
mm,
could take some of these incredible ideas that they were formulating, but actually, commercialize them.
Yeah.
and put them into work. Yeah, I loved that engagement.
Oh, that's
I
great.
like working with teams. I really do.
Yeah. I think working, if you can, like, working with teams is super effective and just very exciting to see, because more than just changing one life, you can also change a whole group of people. But then also that synergy effect
Mm-hmm.
of bringing that team together. It's like you get to coach, like, depending on the team and the level, it's like, you're either coaching like the Lakers or the Bulls back in the 90s. If
Yeah.
you're that coach right there in the middle, you can take a good team and just make them like excellent. And that's
Yeah, and I think so much of my natural leadership and management style, like I said earlier, is two heads are better than one. Like I've always believed in the kind of one plus one equals three, right? Like
Mhm.
this bringing superpowers together. To your point, like the Lakers
Yeah.
or the Chicago Bulls and the Michael Jordan era, right? Like Michael
Yeah.
Jordan was only successful because he had Scottie Pippen and other people around him, right?
Yeah.
It's there's five guys on the floor at all times. There's
Yeah.
10 people sitting on the bench ready to come in and play their role. And
Mm.
I think, I was a swimmer and a tennis player, so I was on teams my whole life.
Mm.
And both swimming and tennis are interesting because they're individual sports, but they're also like relays and teams, and your points count
Yeah.
towards the team. And so I think that spilled over into my corporate life where I like teams, right? And I think
Mm.
you and I talked about it. I mean, I think the hardest thing for me as an entrepreneur is that you spend a lot of time alone, where
Yeah.
I'm used to being in environments where I'm part of a team and
Yeah.
building a culture where the team feels like we're all kind of going in the same direction, which is
Mm.
probably why I gravitate towards team coaching.
So when I talk to coaches, I always have the question of like, where is this business? What kind of business are you building? And because for coaching too, there's the solo coach,
Yes.
there's the coach who wants to make something bigger, which
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different ways to make bigger, but then you can develop your team within that. Or you could
Mm-hmm.
be like the let's create a coaching agency consultancy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's also like you and a whole bunch of other coaches. And
Mm-hmm.
so, is that
Mm-hmm.
something that you've also kind of been thinking about for you, or is it still like you're just kind of, because this is
I
still your
mean,
first
it's
year?
still new. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say I'm probably like when we go back to the business development conversation, I would say I'm
Hmm.
probably looking for what would be called more corporate engagements, like being a
Hmm.
coach that
Yeah.
basically is hired by a company or a corporation or a founder or like the chief people officer.
Yeah.
I think because my background is corporate and I've worked in
Mm.
big multinational global brands, I think my natural skill set is more that, like
Yeah.
corporate dynamics and learning how to manage in a matrix and organizational structure and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
More so, like I never really saw myself as building 30 individual clients, to your point, right?
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
there's other people who are very focused on I want 30 clients or I want 40 individual clients. Some of my
Yeah.
friends in the industry are really good at that. And I think that's the other thing that
Yeah.
starts happening, and I'm sure you found this with the other guests. The other thing that starts happening when you're in the coaching world, coaches who are better at things than you are, right? And
Hmm.
so if someone contacts me and says, I'm a senior director of finance and I want to become a CFO, that's not what I'm good at, right? That's
Yeah.
more of a technical coach. But by the way, I know three coaches who are really good in finance and accounting world.
Yeah.
And I'll refer, and I think that's what starts to happen in both of these organized groups and these kind of unorganized communities. You start to
Hmm.
say, "Oh, you want to be about health and wellness? I know the person you should
Yeah.
talk to." Not saying that a good coach, we should be able to coach anything,
Hmm.
and coach in any industry, but I also think I get referrals from retail and media and entertainment because
Hmm.
that's my background. I think that's great about our industry
Yeah.
is you don't end up being all things to all people.
Well, and you really shouldn't be, because you
Mm-mm.
have a background, and as your point, you could help with a multitude of different situations and people, but where your experience intersects with your ability to coach is probably where you're going to be able to help the most with, right?
No, of
And
course.
so,
I
you
hope. I
know,
mean, yeah. I mean, my whole thing is I want to add value, right?
yeah.
I mean, coaching is an investment, whether it's a financial investment or a time investment. I want people to feel that I'm adding value. And
Yeah.
if I am, um, and they renew and they extend, then that's kind of like
Mm.
getting your report card. It's different.
Are you so right now, do you find that you're working with that kind of that niche of leaders where it's a lot of the entertainment background, or are you finding you're working with just kind of
I'd
any
say
kind
it's
of corporate leaders?
mostly, it feels like I'm spending a lot of time, oddly, in academia, which we've talked about.
Mhm.
Academia, retail, media and entertainment, primarily when I think of my list.
Okay.
And I'd say more senior leaders, although I do a lot of work.
Mm.
Sometimes it's more my pro bono part of my business, but with recent college graduates or, people
Mm.
who are just starting out in their career.
Yeah.
And I love that as well. That's more, I'd say, almost feels like mentoring sometimes than coaching, but yeah, I would say primarily those industries. Creative industries is probably the easier way to say it. Like I think
Okay.
managing, so like agencies, creative agencies, advertising agencies, PR, communications, those
Yeah.
kind of environments, storytelling, we talked about storytelling.
Mhm.
I think that's probably the foundation of a lot of the work that I do.
I'm interested to know, like, what have you found has been the most rewarding part of running your own
Mm.
business?
um, Flexibility and freedom. I
Mhm.
think I'm in control of my calendar.
Mhm.
It's one of the things I learned. Like I coach on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, right? Mondays and
Mhm.
Fridays are blocked, in my calendar tool again. They're
Mhm.
blocked from being able to book coaching appointments because Mondays and Fridays tend to be like organization days for me or recap days or
Yeah.
days where I'm working on my writing or my speeches and things like that. So I
Yeah.
really Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are coaching. So I love the freedom and the flexibility and I love being quote the multi hyphenate, right? Like I've launched my own
Mm.
podcast now, right? So I spend
Mhm.
time in my own podcast, writing a new book, the
Yeah.
LinkedIn process. I love not being one thing. A lot of times in corporate,
Mm.
even when you're a president level or an executive level, you're kind of pigeonholed and you're one thing, right? Like I
I
was
see.
a consumer products and retail person in
Mhm.
media, but I didn't always only want to be that, right? I mean, there's other things I
Mm.
want to do. I think what's interesting about being an entrepreneur is you kind of can wake up in the morning and say, like, you know what, I feel like writing today. I feel like, I don't have a
Yeah.
lot of coaching clients today. I'm going to work on my writing, right? Or
Mhm.
I'm going to work on my podcast, lining up my next podcast guests or
Mhm.
you have a lot of freedom and flexibility.
Yeah. What was something that you were kind of what were some of the challenges that you were expecting, but that that maybe something that came up that you weren't expecting and kind of unprepared for while you're doing this?
Yeah. Challenges I was expecting, we talked about it already. I knew business development was going to be challenging, and it has been.
Yeah.
So it's probably been even harder than I anticipated. But,
Mm.
again, I've learned from that. I think the unexpected, I talked about it earlier. This sounds so terrible. I kind of like doing graphic design now, right? Like, I think the whole Canva and presentations and like my Instagram posts and my LinkedIn posts, like I kind of like at first I was so intimidated by it and I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh my God, I'm not good at this. And when I go back and look 8 months ago, 9 months ago at my images versus now, I'm like, ooh, I wasn't
Yeah.
good at it. But I actually, I think I've surprised myself how much I enjoy kind of writing first and then saying,
Mhm.
okay, what visual image for LinkedIn or Instagram would go good with this, right? And
Mhm.
I've surprised myself on that, how much I like it. I also use outside resources. I won't lie,
Yeah.
I can't do it all. and they're better than I am. So like the hard ones, I definitely am like, I have a graphic designer who I love and I'm like, this is yours. But again, that's a system. You know that, David. Like I'll tell your listener, I use Notion. Like my
Yeah.
social content planning is in Notion. And
Hmm.
my freelance graphic designer is in my Notion team. And so he'll see,
Yeah.
I'm like, on this post, we usually work in like 2 to 3 week cycles. And I'll be like, these are your 10 posts that I
Yeah.
need help with. I've got these
Yeah.
handled over here.
Yeah.
Again, that's a system I had to build.
But so when you hand those over to designer, right? You're giving him like, this is kind of what I'm thinking about and what I
Mm-hmm.
like to see.
I'm
So you're
giving
giving
him the
him like,
writing, and I'm giving him the
yeah,
writing. Like I'm
yeah,
giving him what I think the written part of the post will be, and then
hmm,
I'll say, again, Notion is a great tool. I should get paid by
yeah,
Notion for this now, but is I'll say I think it should be a photograph, it should be a cheat sheet, it should be a poster, it should be a carousel, it should be
yeah,
a quote. And then I give him, I mean, part of why I like him is he's creative, right? And so I'll
mhm,
say, and we do this all, we do, he's internationally based. He's based in India
mhm,
actually. And so we'll
yeah,
talk on WhatsApp, like we'll chat on
yeah,
WhatsApp, or sometimes we'll do a video call. But we do a lot just back and forth at Notion where he'll be like, what do you think of this? Right. And
yeah,
obviously he's working 12 hours ahead of me. So sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have like 5 or 6 inbox, messages, and he'll say, what do you think of this? I like this. And I'll be like, oh, I
yeah,
like that color. I don't like that color. Like it's a very iterative process.
yeah,
And now that we've been doing it, how long has he been with me? Like 4 months, I think.
okay,
We're getting better all the time
yeah,
because he understands how my mind works,
yeah,
and he looks holistically at the 2 or 3 week period we're working on and says,
mm,
I think we have too much carousel, or you need a video
yeah,
here, or you need a photo here. And again, I like that process because
yeah,
I post 7 days a week on LinkedIn. So
hmm,
that's a lot of content. I mean, that's
yeah,
a lot of writing. It's a lot of visuals.
yeah,
Um, and there's good ones and there's bad ones. So, but he's a great,
yeah,
I don't want to call him an asset. That sounds terrible. Resource. He's an incredible
yeah.
resource.
Well, and that's like still working with people in your team. You gotta figure out how to work. You gotta kind of figure out your shorthand and finding the right person who actually
Hmm.
does and is capable of like looking ahead and adding the extra value, especially when you're looking for people who
Yeah.
are internationally based, isn't always easy. And that's
Mm-mm.
probably the hard thing.
I tell people you'll get this. It's like dating. I told people it's like dating, right? You literally, you have to kiss a lot of frogs to find your prince or princess, right?
Yeah.
And I I met with a lot of graphic designers who
Mm,
all were talented, but could
mm,
not get my sensibility or my voice. And then
yeah.
and again, how does it happen? Went to somebody on LinkedIn and said, I love your graphics. Who does them? Do you do them? No, no, no. It's this person. I'd be happy to introduce you to him. He works with multiple people. I don't know if he has space right now. Here's his email. Here's his WhatsApp. It
Yeah.
literally was kind of how you and I met. And we
Yeah.
interviewed each other. Basically, he sent me some
Mm,
samples of his work. I sent him my book. I sent him samples of my recent LinkedIn posts, and
mhm,
it clicked. But
yeah.
I probably met 7 or 8 people before I met him that it didn't click.
And that's how it works, right? Like
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
the same thing when you go about hiring somebody for a business. It's going to
Totally.
be the same thing with that. So it's all about relationships and finding the right
And
people.
now it's like I need to keep him happy. He I'm not going to share his name because I don't want to get any more client. No, I'm kidding. That's mean. But I literally, I need to keep him happy now. I want to make sure that I'm paying him well and I'm communicating well and stuff because I do think he's a really important part of my process now, and I need to keep him happy.
Well, now because now you're as you're growing and you're building, you're going to start to build your team, and if the team is in the US or if it's international, it's still building a team. And so when you build the team, it's same things apply as a coach when you're talking to your leaders.
Totally, totally. And I've the way that my team is now, I have India, Pakistan. I worked for a while with someone who was based in Kenya, and then
Mm-hmm.
I work with US people too. So
Yeah.
I worked with somebody based in Germany. Um,
Hmm.
I love that about the
Yeah.
virtualness of this world.
And it actually sometimes it's really helpful because now you're just bulking the work. So it's just like if they're doing a bunch of the stuff earlier on, then you just need to look at that for 15 to 30 minutes,
Yeah.
check, check, check. And you're not getting like, I think the hardest thing for me when I was working in an office was like sometimes people are asking for approval like, every other hour. And then it's just like, I just leave me alone and I just want to work. So
Yeah.
that's, I think, kind of some of the benefit of having the time difference is that a lot of more of the work gets bulked together.
It does. And like I said, I wake up now and my graphic designer has put 7 new designs in my inbox, right? Because he's been
Yeah,
working 12
yeah,
hours ahead of me. And then, by the
yeah,
way, I comment and then I have to wait because he's
yeah,
asleep, right? Or out to dinner or whatever. So there is a
yeah,
delay in that, but then he gets 7 answers, right?
yeah,
And then if we're confused, that's where we'll say, okay, let's schedule a WhatsApp call. Let's get on a
yeah,
video call if we're not understanding each other or we're not getting
yeah,
to where we need to get. Sometimes you need like this, right? And you need to say, okay, wait a minute, let's jump on a call together. And honestly, in 15 minutes, you can solve something that probably would have taken 3 or 4 days back and forth to
yeah.
figure out. And I love that about people,
Hmm.
which I mean, it does mean even though I'm working globally, let's be honest, I need people with really good English skills because I work in English and I write in
Yeah,
English. And so, places like Asia and India and Pakistan and certain parts of Africa and Europe work because they have good English skills. Like
yeah,
I need like I wish I was polylingual, but I'm not. So I need
yeah,
people who are comfortable reading and writing and understanding in English.
yeah. And there's still like there's still if at least with English, there's a little bit more of overlap with like social expectations with
Yes,
like culture because
yes,
there is even within like the British and the US, like
yeah.
Americans, still English, but different expectations with the culture and how you
The
talk.
Queen's English, like I always say, the Queen's English versus, or now I guess the King's English
The Kings,
versus
yeah,
the King's English versus American, right? And
yeah,
even the way we spell some words, like
yeah,
organizing is a word, like where we use Z's and they use S's, right?
yeah,
And so, yes, but I actually love that. Like I call that
mhm,
global, right? Like the
mm,
mixing of global with local cultures and local customs and stuff. And
yeah,
I when I came back, I did a 2 week trip for my birthday to Japan, and I love Japanese culture and I love
mhm,
Japanese philosophy and food. I loved a lot of stuff about Japan, and I kind of did this series on words like kaizen and ikigai, like leadership
okay,
concepts from
yeah,
Japan. And my Indian based graphic designer completely nailed the visuals.
mhm,
I think he understood the concepts better than I did because he said, and he
yeah,
would say, this is very similar to something we have in Indian
mhm,
philosophy and in Indian culture. And those posts did unbelievable because I think my writing was fine, but his visuals were
word.
amazing and 10
That's great.
times better than I would have ever done. But I think that's where the cultural influence and the geography and just
Yeah,
he said to me, he said, I love this series. We did a series of 5. And he sent me a note
mhm,
on the side. He said, I love this series. Like, this is so cool. And they
mm.
all worked together and it was fun. I liked doing that one.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun.
Um, we're running a little short on time, so I just want to
Sure.
be cognizant and respectful of your time.
Yeah.
Um, but I would just love to ask, what's one piece of advice that you would give someone who's just beginning their coaching journey
I
now?
love it. I love it. I mean, I I would have two. One is control the controllable, but leave space for the possible, right?
Hmm.
So organize and systemize what you can and play with those tools. We've talked a lot about it, like to create your system. But then while you're doing that is to just leave space for the possible, to be open to where this is going to go. I don't think any of us in this coaching journey can 1000% say it's going to go like this, right? And you have to stay open. And the second one is a mantra that I've had really since I was in high school. And in fact, in my high school graduation, I gave a speech and it was the theme. And that is, may we leave our corner of the world a little better than we found it. And I think that's how I think about coaching engagements is, I mentioned it before, am I adding value to this client's work, to this client's life, to this client's productivity? And it's, when you listen to the mantra, it's a little better than we found it, right? I think it's about small, incremental, positive impacts and not feeling like you have to have these huge breakthroughs and these huge, like, aha moment insights. Just small, incremental changes can make a big difference in people's lives. That would be my two.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And last question. What's next for your coaching business?
I love it. Well, I'm really excited about some of the book. I'm working on 2 different books, which is weird to be working on 2 books simultaneously, but they're similar yet different. I think they're both tools that are going to show up in my coaching practice. I think they're insights that I've had, maybe from doing the coaching, maybe from just my career. And I'm really excited to kind of get them out in the world. And I'm starting to test some of the concepts, even in like my social media posts and in some of the speeches I'm giving, because I'm really excited about them. So I think it's about just some new insights. I think the world is really hard. We've talked about it. I think 2025, it is very, very hard to be a leader or a manager of human beings right now. The economies are weird, societies are weird, governments are weird. There's a lot of things that are outside your control. And I think it's requiring us to have some new insights and some new tools. So I hope I can bring some out in the world.
I'm excited. Let me know. I'd love to be able to promote that, but also to read and learn from that as well.
I love it. Yeah, of course, David, for sure.
Jim, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love this conversation. I can't believe we've already been talking for over an hour.
I know. It's been amazing. No, I appreciate it so much. Like I said, I love when you first contacted me, I love the topic of this. I think it's so helpful. I think you're making somebody's life better by doing these podcasts. And I think we need that. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And that's my goal. I really want to be able to help coaches and make an impact as you were saying, right? Make the world better.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Have a great day. Thank you.
Jim, thank you so much and have a good day.
Want to stop guessing and start building a marketing system that actually fills your calendar? Head to kyber5.com/coachops and let's get systematic. That's it for today's episode. I hope you grabbed something useful you can actually apply in your business. If you did, leave a comment or share it with a friend. And hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you next week.